right now. Okay. Good. Yeah, welcome. Great to see you. Okay, my name Thomas Wiersberg. I'm here with the ICDP Operational Support Group, and I'm in charge of education, training, outreach, and some other things. And because you're all invited to the ICDP conference in late July, so in about 2.5 weeks from now, and some of you probably are not so familiar with ICDP. I thought it could be an idea to give a little introduction on how ICDP works, what we are doing, and also how, let's say, early career scientists get involved into the ICDP. And for that, I've prepared a short presentation. If you have questions, directly interrupt me. We are a small group, and just go in while I'm talking and just ask the question. I think that's the way it should be. Okay, let's see. Hold on. There it is. So, can you see my presentation?
Yeah, yeah.
Also in the presenting mode, or is it still the working mode?
Presenting mode.
It's presenting mode. Okay, so let's go back to the first slide. Okay, how ICDP works and how to get involved. What is the ICDP? The ICDP, first of all, stands for International Continental Scientific Drilling Program. And it's actually an international non-profit research consortium or research program that supports scientists, team of scientists, international scientists, with a need for deep continental drilling. And we are supporting these teams for financial support. So we're providing money and operational support. And about this operational support, I'm going to speak later. Also about the financial support. And ICDP support is based on proposals. So we are proposal driven. So teams of scientists from ICDP member countries are invited to submit proposals to the ICDP. And these proposals will then be reviewed. And if you are lucky, then they will be accepted. And then you get funding, or you can request the funding and the operational support from ICDP. And these ideas behind the proposals, so the project's ideas, they must be in line with the ICDP science plan and should also be of societal relevance. And ICDP was funded in, oh, that's the first question. Please, Juliana.
That's me. Just one question, because although I work with lake sediments,
yeah,
I am from Brazil, so there it is not, at least in my circle, was not that commented about ICDP. The first time that I knew ICDP was in EGU last year.
Yeah.
But I'm currently living in Czech Republic, actually for the past 3 years.
Yes.
So I wonder if me as a postdoc researcher in Czech Republic can, but being a Brazilian, can apply for this kind of support.
It's a good question. I was just recently in Brazil. I just came back last week because I was in Cruzeiro do Sul. I don't know if you know that. It's in the Acre region. And we have currently a drilling project running there. So it does not, well, you see the science team members who let's say, apply for funding from the ICDP. So these kind of, sorry, this PI teams, this principal investigator teams. In some countries, of course, we need the support from the local authorities and from local scientists. We cannot go to a different country and say, okay, we're a team of Americans, we now start drilling in, let's say, I don't know, in Australia or so, in some other countries. Of course, we need to have, let's say, contact with the local science teams and the local communities there. And for that reason, yes, you can be involved in projects, in ICDP projects. And in fact, we have several PIs in this project where I recently was. It's called Trans-Amazon TRDP, Trans-Amazon Drilling Project. And we have some PIs, some principal investigators from Sao Paulo, University of Sao Paulo. So yes, it's possible.
Nice. So we'll probably be talking soon. I will use the opportunity of the conference so we can talk a little bit about that.
I can give you more information about that. So you see that Brazil is unfortunately not an ICDP member country. We're working on it. We hope to get Brazil somehow that they become ICDP member, but we are doing that already since 2 or 3 years now, and it's a long process. It takes a while. And these members, these ICDP member countries, they pay an annual fee, the membership fee. That depends a little bit on the country itself. It's not the same for all the countries. Some countries pay more, like the US or Japan or Germany. Others pay less. But in average, our total, let's say, budget that we have is about $3.4 million. And these $3.4 million, more than 90% are going back to the scientists for drilling. So there's some money that we need for operational costs, also for the training courses, for instance, and other things. But almost all the money is going back to the science community to help them to drill. But more about that in a minute. So what did we achieve in the last 27 years? We have drilled more than 58 projects. We have conducted more than 80 workshops. We made more than 20 training courses, and way more than 1,000 publications have been published from ICDP projects. And if you see here the map, the world map, you see here Brazil, and you see 2 dots here. This one here is currently drilling. That's the drilling from the Trans-Amazon. The open dot here. The full dot here was already drilled. That's part of the Grind project. They drilled in Namibia and in Brazil, and they will plan also drilling in China. And so not being an ICDP member country does not mean that this is a land or country where we not drill. So you see also drilling was taking place in Russia, for instance. Russia is not ICDP member country, or here in Indonesia. And you see, this is not directly linked with each other. And those dots here, they have different colors. You see, they're green, blue, purple, and black. And these colors, they symbolize different topics. And about the topics, I will speak in a minute now, because ICDP is not just proposal-driven, we're also science-driven. And we have a so-called science plan that was implemented in 2020. And the science plan lays out the framework that ICDP projects should address. So we think from the ICDP side that these topics, the 4 topics I mentioned before, could be relevant for scientific drilling projects. If you have a drilling idea that does not fit with these 4 topics, it does not mean that we are not interested in it. We had cases in the past that people came with a great idea that did not fall into our program, but we still thought that's such a cool idea, we go for it, we fund it. So this is just the framework, but it's not cast in stone. And so the overarching motto, billions of years of Earth evolution, you see it here. And then we have these 4 topics: georesources, environmental change, geohazards, and geodynamic processes. I have a handful of slides about that, but I'm going to show you. And this is again these 4 topics, and as they are outlined in the ICDP science plan. And these 4 topics, they are linked with wider societal challenges, like clean water, affordable and clean energy and georesources, sustainable cities, climate action, of course, and mitigation of natural hazards. So what we want to see in ICDP proposals and projects is the link to the society. That's very important to us. So for these 4 topics, I have prepared only 1 slide to each topic. We will hear more about that during the conference, because these 4 topics all have an own session, and people, scientists from these who have submitted proposals or have conducted projects within these topics. They will speak about their experience. So we will hear way more about the science when you're here in Potsdam in July. So I'm not speaking so much about science. I just want to give you a little bit the flavor about, let's say, a broad impression about what goes on. So environmental change is a very important topic. And you see here this barge drilling on the lake. So questions are, what can we learn from past greenhouse conditions in Earth's climate to better anticipate future changes in the climate, in the hydrological cycle, but also in the atmospheric cycle and other cycles. Deep biosphere plays a role. So what is the role of subsurface biosphere in controlling biochemical fluxes in carbon cycling? And also, for instance, the evolution of our own species, the Homo sapiens, plays a big role in ICDP, in some ICDP projects. How was humanity dispersal pushed or pulled by climate or environmental change along the migration paths from origin to destination? So we have quite a lot of projects taking place in East Africa, for instance, where the cradle of the humans is supposed to be. And this lake drilling, you see the barge here, we have a lot of lake drilling projects. So the lakes can be very valuable climate archives. And so the lake sediments, they are very valuable to understand past climate. So lake drilling plays a big role in ICDP. The geodynamic processes, topics here about, let's say, formation of continental crust, evolution of the early Earth, including origin of life, orogenic processes, beginning of tectonics, element cycles, and so on and so forth. So questions here are, how and when did plate tectonics initiate, and how was the Earth crust and the mantle formed, and how did they evolve through time? What controlled the development of Earth's hydrosphere, atmosphere, biosphere system, and how are the associated chemical elements recycled through time? How did life originate, and how did it influence? How did it influence the evolution of environmental conditions through time? This is, for instance, something where our colleagues from the ocean drilling cannot reach out, because if you're drilling at the ocean, there is a big program, the IODP, that drills the ocean. They can only reach out down to, I would say, 200 million years before present. So the earliest ocean crust is about Jurassic. I think it's nothing older than Jurassic. So all these questions took place, or addressing topics which are very old, billions of years, you have to drill on land. You cannot drill the ocean for that one. Geohazards. So this is understanding geohazards such as earthquakes, landslides, volcanic eruptions, but also cataclysmic events. So what are the drivers in here initiating and controlling earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and mass movement? How do we distinguish faults, volcanoes, and potential landslides that present high hazard or high risk from those with low hazard? And of course, how to build a better quantitative understanding of the processes, allowing us to provide advanced warning time and mitigate the risk. I don't want to drop the word, let's say, earthquake forecast or something like that. You know, forecasting an earthquake would be something which is the holy grail of earth sciences. So this is, of course, at the very end, it would be great if we can forecast an earthquake a little bit better than we can do today. But first of all, we need to understand the processes. And we have quite a lot of projects to try to understand and address these questions, understand earthquake processes. And once we understand that a little bit better, we can also think about, let's say, earthquake forecast. And last but not least, georesources. And one big topic here is geothermal energy. So how can we improve our understanding of and gain access to low carbon energy sources, in particular geothermal energy? Also things like storage of fluids in the underground, like CO2 and hydrogen. What is the most reliable way to store those in the underground? Mineral and ore resources. What is needed to understand the processes that concentrate mineral and metal resources, essential for low carbon technology? And also water plays a big role. So how to identify future water resources. So these are the 4 big topics that ICDP, let's say, suggests to address with proposals. Again, it's not cast in stone. If you have a great idea with another topic, just submit a proposal to us, get in touch with us, and then we will see. And because we received recently quite a lot of, let's say, proposals who want to go for geothermal energy, we have developed this kind of white paper here, and it's a strategy paper, because not everything related to geothermal is something where we think ICDP is the right funding source for. So we received, for instance, from some universities the request, we would like to have ICDP money to drill a borehole in our campus to heat the university. It's a nice idea, but it's probably not what ICDP will fund. And a little bit to shape our strategy in this geothermal field, we have developed this white paper. So how does ICDP work? And you see this little sketch here. That's how I see ICDP. Your drilling project, that's the tree here. And the results, the papers, the new, let's say, how to say, the output of your project, these are the fruits here, like the cherries here. And our role is to help you or help the tree to grow. So we provide money, we provide funding, we provide equipment service, and we provide training and knowledge transfer. And these 3 topics I would like to discuss very briefly in the next slides. As I said, ICDP is proposal driven. The deadline for ICDP proposals is always January 15. So if you want to submit a proposal to ICDP, do it before January 15, otherwise you have to wait for another year. And it works in a way that there are 3 different ways of proposals. There's a pre-proposal, a workshop proposal, and a full proposal. You always have to start with a pre-proposal. The pre-proposal is about a scientific idea that you and some others have. In the pre-proposal, you don't need to write anything about drilling technique, money, logistics, and these things. The pre-proposal is just about the idea you think that could be interested for ICDP. And this pre-proposal is evaluated by the Science Advisory Group. If you think about these panels here I'm speaking about, Science Advisory Group, EC, and on the right side, the AOG, the Assembly of Governors. There's a relatively good comparison if you think about submitting a paper. If you submit a paper, you have reviewers, you have editors, and you have publishers. These are the reviewers. They just look at your paper or the proposal from a scientific standpoint. They may say, it's a great idea, we really appreciate it. But at the end, the editor says, well, this project would cost us, I don't know, our annual budget for 3 years. We cannot fund it, or we have to fund it in a different way. So pre-proposal is just a scientific idea evaluated by the reviewing panel, and then you get feedback. With the free proposal, there is no money flowing. So you just get feedback from ICDP. They say, it's a great idea. Please go ahead, submit the next one, which is a workshop proposal. And the workshop proposal, here the idea is to invite the international community to a workshop to discuss your idea with the international community and agree upon some points. Do you need 1 borehole 5 kilometer? Do you need 20 boreholes 100 meter? Do you need core? Do you need logging? Do you need what kind of data? Blah, 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 blah. All these things can be discussed or shall be discussed during the workshop. And here's already some money flowing. We provide the money for the workshop. Something in the range of, would say, 60, 70, maybe $80,000 or so, which helps you to invite at least the international community, let's say 40, maybe 50 people or so, depending where you do the workshop. And because we're speaking about money here, this is already something where also the EC, the executive committee, will make the final decision. So the science advisory group, the scientific reviewing panel, reads the workshop proposal, but at the end, the EC, the executive committee, makes a decision if this workshop is getting funded or not. And then the last step, the next and last step is from the workshop to the full proposal. This is really a drilling proposal where you also have to provide, let's say, quotes from drilling companies, and you have to have a budget plan, you have to have a risk management plan, and all these things. But don't worry, our job, the operational support group, is also to help you to develop such a proposal, because most of the scientists, they don't have any clue about drilling. And it's our job to help you there. So you see, in this last proposal, the drilling proposal will also be evaluated by the Science Advisory Group, the EC, and the final decision will be made by the Assembly of Governors. These are the representatives of the funding agencies, because they have to spend the money at the end. It's their money at the end. At the very end, it's taxpayers' money. It's not their money. So at the very end, it's all money from taxpayers. So these three panels above, they are responsible for the strategy of ICDP and the proposals. So they're handling the proposals. And you see these other three panels here, and these guys are important for the implementation and the operation. So we have an executive director. He is more or less the daily representative of ICDP. That's Marco Bonhoff. And you will meet him at the conference, of course. You will meet representatives of the other panels as well. So they're all invited, and a lot of them will come. So when you hear people speaking about the ZAC, the EC, the AOG, these are the panels that, let's say, working mainly on the strategy of ICDP and reviewing and evaluating the proposals. These people here, the executive director, the people from the operation support group, and the hosting institute GFZ, where I'm sitting right now, they are important for the implementation and the operation of projects. Juliana, please.
Me again, sorry.
It's okay.
This deadline of 15 January is for which part of this plot here? Okay, so we have, for example, if we start pre-proposal today, we have until 15 January to submit the drilling project, the last part. Is that so?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you submit a pre-proposal on January 15, then you get a feedback from us, I would say sometimes maybe in April or May. And then you can going for the next step for the workshop proposal. And then you can, if the workshop proposal is accepted and you get the funds for the workshop and you hold the workshop, then you can start writing the full proposal. And then in theory, you can also go for the next January 15 deadline for the full proposal.
Okay, understood.
It takes a while, yes, but you will see it's also let me see, it's shown on the next, maybe I can show it on this slide here. It takes a while, because if you have here on the x-axis the months, and here there's different steps. You see, there's a pre-proposal, maybe 1, maybe 2 years later, the workshop proposal, then you have the workshop, then the full proposal, and then drilling. You see, it may take a while. We're speaking about a couple of years here. And you see, the biggest step is here between an accepted full proposal and the drilling. And the reason for that is that ICDP will provide funds for drilling, but we do not provide all funds. So we fund something in the range between, I would say, 20 up to 50, 60% or so, but not 100%. So you have to look for matching funds. And that often takes a little time. But let me just go back here about these proposals. No, hold on, about this implementation operational groups. This is the operational support group. And you see me standing somewhere here in the second line on the very left. We are a group of 13 people, and our task is to make the projects happen. So we have scientists who do, for instance, downhole logging. If you need information from the borehole, we can provide that service. We have a drilling engineer. When you write a proposal and when you later going into negotiations with drilling companies and so on, you need to have somebody on your side who understands the drilling language. These are companies that want to make money. So you need to understand how they think. And for that reason, we have the drilling engineer with us who helps you to get in touch with drilling companies and to prepare the contract with them, and also during the drilling phase to supervise you or to provide you help during the operational phase. We have people doing data and sample management. There are kind of special rules how to handle drill core. Then there is kind of how to handle the data, to make the data and the drill core also available for next generations, and all these things. We have people for that. We have people doing education and outreach. That's actually me and my colleague Ursula Heidbach. And yeah, that's more or less it. So these 12 people or 13 people, this is pretty much the heart of the ICDP, because we are permanently, constantly working for ICDP. These panels here, they come together once a year. They read the proposals before. Then they're met for a week, discuss about the proposals and strategy aspects, and then they met again next year. Here, these people, they're working permanently for ICDP. So ICDP is a very small organization, so to say. We are just 13 people, actually. And the GFZ, that's the institute where the operational support group and the executive director are working. So this is our host institute. Okay. So just shortly again about this proposal things. So the pre-proposals, they lay out a scientific idea that critically requires scientific drilling. And this is just reviewed by the science advisory group. And if the science advisory group is, let's say, convinced about your proposal, then you're invited to submit the workshop proposal. Here you need already some information, for instance, basic site surveys, the draft plan for drilling already, and kernel of an international science team. And then the workshop, the idea of the workshop is to broaden the thematic spectrum and form an international team to prepare the full proposal. And the full proposal needs some more information like drilling costs, budget, management, things I mentioned before. Don't get too much confused about that one, and don't be shocked. Oh God, oh God, oh God, I have to provide that much information. Our job is to help you here. That's why we are here. So I'm skipping this one here. Okay, speak some words about money. I know for some of you it might be a little bit boring, but I think you should know it. The point is that, as I mentioned before, ICDP will not provide 100% of the drilling costs, only a part of it. And that's called the commingled funding principle. A lot of funding agencies who could serve as additional funding source, they want to see first an ICDP proposal accepted. They say, yes, you can ask us for money when ICDP is happy with your proposal. Our standing in the community is extremely high. So there are several additional, let's say, international funding agencies who will say, I will not give you any money if ICDP has not approved your proposal. So ICDP proposals are door openers. If you have it in hand and say, look, these guys say it's a great proposal and they give us money, then you can address, or you can go to other funding agencies and say, look, here, that's the situation how it is. Please give me additional money. And with this concept, we have provided in the last 27 years, $54 million. And these additional funds were in the range of $220 million. So these matching funds came from other sources. So in total, $274 million have been invested for, yeah, well, you saw it, about 60 drilling projects, plus about 80 workshops. The workshops are not that much. So for the workshops, we spend something like 50 to 100,000 maximum dollar. For the drilling projects, the maximum money we spend is $1.5 million, which is already something. And you see here the graph on the left side. That's the total project budget. And you see here there's a peak at 1.5 million. And the ICDP share for a project here, let's say from 2.5 million is maybe 80%, or 70%, which would be 1.5 million. If the total budget is 10 million, then it's an average something like 20% we pay. So from 10 million, 20% are 2 million plus minus. So that's the average share that ICDP is providing for projects. Now the question is, what does ICDP not fund? Drilling is expensive. And so site preparation, the drilling, the logging, demobilization, mobilization, and so on and so forth costs a lot of money. And we do not provide money for overhead costs. So you cannot ask for, make a position with ICDP, for instance, to say, look, I would like to, let's say, support 5 postdocs with ICDP money. That's not something we can provide money for. So no scientific personnel, no science. Don't come to us and say, I need a new mass spectrometer. You need to go somewhere else to find money for that. That's not something we can provide money for. Or I need a new logging tool or something like that. Or I need some specific equipment to analyze my drill core. We have not the funds for that. Overhead costs. So there are some universities to say, okay, I want to have also some money for our administration from the ICDP money to fund administration. We cannot do that. The money needs to flow into the project, not into administration costs. And pre-site surveys. So this is something which is often a problem, because at the end, we want to see in a full proposal a pre-site survey. So a seismic or some a comparable survey where you identify the best possible location for drilling. You need to find money for that by other sources, not by ICDP. And you see here on the right side, this photo here, we are the small car here. We can provide the money for the operational costs, but not for science. Sorry for that. But for science, now the good news, there are in all the ICDP member countries tools to get money for science. So, for instance, I'm here in Germany. In Germany, there is the DFG, the German Research Foundation. They have a special priority program that supports ICDP projects from a scientific point of view. So if I want to be involved in an ICDP project as a scientist, I can go to them and say, look, I talked to the principal investigators. They said, my scientific idea is brilliant. They want to have me. I need some money to do it, to execute it. Please give me money. I did that for 10 years of my life. I started as postdoc in 2001, and until 2010, I was just funded by a special ICDP priority program by the German Research Foundation, doing science at drill sites. I changed in 2011, then I became member of the ICDP operational support group. But before, I was for almost 10 years postdoc, just living with ICDP priority program money from the German Research Foundation. So the ICDP member countries, almost all ICDP member countries have scientific funding programs or other ways to support science. So if you want to get involved in an ICDP project as a scientist, you have to get in touch with the, let's say, principal investigators to tell them, look, I would like to be involved in your project. Do you think that's possible? I have that and that scientific idea. Then they have to think about, okay, is there any overlap of other requests? Is that something which is really relevant for the project, and so on and so forth? But in principle, the project should be open to everybody. And then once you have that in hand, maybe a letter or at least some email to say, look, we would like to have this person with his or her kind of science in the program, in the project. Then you can go to your funding agency and say, look, I would like to do some science in this project and have an okay from the principal investigators. And please now give me the money. That's the way it works. And so there are specific programs like we have here in Germany, also in the US, for instance, in Switzerland, they are, other countries have other kind of special funding possibilities. So you have to get in contact with your national representative. How much money can I get for my project? I mentioned already the average budget or the ICDP budget per year is in a range of $3.5 million. More than 90% is spent to support drilling projects. So if you think about 3.5 million and you spend, let's say, 3 million a year for drilling, you can imagine that it's an average maybe 1 million. And there were often questions, what is the lower number? No lower number is fixed, but it was never spent less than or asked less than $200,000 from the ICDP. The projects that ICDP is funding should be of scientific outstanding relevance. So don't come to us and say, look, I want to drill here some meters in my backyard just to know the stratigraphy of whatever. It needs that they're science driven, these projects, and they need to be driven by a question that is really outstanding. We have a project in the pipeline right now that want to drill into magma, to get a drill core from magma to see if magma can be used for geothermal energy production. If that works out, it would completely put all the geothermal, let's say, energy production put upside down. We could take more energy, let's say factor 10 more than which is nowadays available from conventional geothermal energy production. Things like that. Outstanding questions. These are the things that drive ICDP projects. So there's also no written upper limit. So in theory, you can ask $10 million from ICDP. You will not get them. Until now, it was never funded more than $1.5 million for a project. Here's written per year or project phase. This is something I would need to explain more in detail. This is not the right time to do that. Once it comes to that point, we can discuss about that more in detail. And there are potential other funding sources for drilling. These are also the same that also provide the money for the science. So I can also go to the German Research Foundation and say, look, I'm a principal investigator of a project. I want to drill in Brazil, for instance, having Brazilians with me in the team. We have an international group, but we need additional money for drilling. And also the German Research Foundation, if the proposal is written in a proper way, they will provide money for it. Equipment and service, I will go through that very quickly because this is more when it really comes to the implementation of a project. We have different equipment that we can provide for drilling projects. For instance, we have a group who's doing downhole logging, so bringing instruments into a borehole and measure the borehole itself. We have also tools, for instance, for core scanning and core analysis. So we have an MSCL, multi-sensor core logger. Some of you may have heard about that. We have different optical core scanners to making full 360-degree, full round scans of drill core, for instance, and other tools as well. I'm quickly going through that. You can see some of the tools here. We have seismic sondes, downhole logging. We have a geophone chain if you're interested in seismic investigations. We have here the MSCL from ICDP. Data and sample management. We have a laboratory that's not owned by ICDP, but our institute GFZ, which is designed specific for deep biosphere studies. So they have special kind of microscopes and special equipment, also a glove box and things like that, which is all in the box in this container here, which we can make available. And that's what I did for about 10 years of my life. I'm coming as a geochemist, as a fluid and gas geochemist. I'm coming from gas geochemistry, and I did online gas monitoring while drilling. Online gas monitoring, Olga. So I was, for instance, now in Brazil to install this equipment there to measure the gas composition of the formation gases while drilling. And at the end, you get gas profiles. So that's my scientific background. So the roles or the let's say the tasks of the ICDP, well, I'm not going too much into detail here. That's the main task of these 13 people I mentioned before. We assist the PIs during the operational phase, also during the planning phase, budgeting and controlling, equipment pool, on-site service, like logging, data and sample management. We help PIs organizing workshops, we're organizing training courses and outreach measures, and so on and so forth. And now, how to get involved, how you can get involved in ICDP. Well, there are different ways to get involved in ICDP, and I'm starting maybe with a very simple one. You can get involved in ICDP as a drilling volunteer, as a drill site volunteer. That would be kind of a helping hand at the drill site. And you see the photo here, you see the lady here, she's washing cuttings. Cuttings, if you're not drilling for core, but for cuttings, the cuttings are an important sample from for analyzers. Not every project drills for core. Some of them drilling for cuttings. And if you are just request the principal investigator, the PI, say, look, I'm interested to get involved in your project. I would be happy to help you at the drill site. Excuse me. Is there any chance for me to get involved in it? Well, you may get an answer, and you may get a positive answer. And this lady here, she simply sent a letter to somebody in California to say, look, I'm interested in become a helper on your side. Can I do that? And they said, yes. We always need helpers on the side. You see here collecting the cuttings and washing the cuttings. And that was for her a first step into ICDP. She's now part of our team. She get involved in the ICDP. She get very deeply involved in the ICDP, not just in the project, but in the ICDP itself. And now she's with us. Check the ICDP website. I'm going later on the website to show you how it works. Look for projects that are upcoming or running. Click on them. See the name of the principal investigator. Send them an email. Say, look, I'm interested in your project. Is there any chance for me to get involved? People who work at drill sites are always welcome. You always need helping hands at drill sites. So that's one way to get involved. ICDP training courses, that's another way to get involved. A very easy way to get involved. And we are doing ICDP training courses. Generally, we're doing it on an annual basis. This year, because we have so much work to do to organizing the conference, we won't make an annual training course this year, but in spring next year, there will be an annual training course. And they're intended for early career scientists, scientists in general, also engineers. And these training courses, they cover all aspects on scientific drilling. You see them all here. So pre-site surveys, engineering, sample handling, on-site studies, logging, data management, post-drilling, project planning, and so on and so forth. They always take place at drill sites because there's a lot of, let's say, working in action. So we want to make sure this is not just a theoretical course, but that you also make practical exercises, that you learn drilling from a practical way. That's very important to us. And the costs for the training course include travel, accommodation, meals, the course itself. It's all covered by us. You don't have to pay anything. You apply for the course, and if you get selected, then you don't need to spend any money if you don't want. Of course, if you want to go in the evening to the bar and drink the bar dry, that is your business. That's not our business. But the course itself is free of any costs. And Pumi, how was your experience with the last year's ICDP training course? She was invited.
Yes,
Pumi was invited.
It was great. It was, yeah, like I learned a lot. Now when I listen to people talking about drilling projects, I'm nodding with them. And also it was good to present there as well.
Genau. Pumi was invited because she is the outreach coordinator, or she was the outreach coordinator because the project has finished from a project, and she did a very good job there in South Africa, the BASE project. She will speak also in the session. She will speak in the session. We have an outreach session, and she will speak there. And you see here, applicants from ICDP member countries and upcoming ICDP projects are preferentially invited. If you are not coming from an ICDP member country, you can still apply, because I mentioned the Brazil example. Last year, we had 6 people from Brazil with the ICDP training course. although Brazil is not ICDP member country, but these people need to know about drilling and sample handling and so on, because they were working as drill site volunteers at the site. They need to know what to do. So it was easy for me to invite them. And of course, other aspects also play a role. Gender balance plays a big role. Of course, the ICDP member countries play some role. But if you are involved in an ICDP project and you need to provide a support letter, actually 2 support letters, but if there's a PI writing, I need this person at the site, he is supposed to do this one, and I want that she or he should join the ICDP training course, I have little arguments to say, no, these people will be invited, will get invited. Okay, training course. And these are some examples from last year's training course. So some photos you see here, practical exercises. Here's our drilling engineer. Speaking about tools, equipment, how drilling works, plays a big role. You cannot do it theoretically. You can do it theoretically, but it's way more effective if you really be on the drill site. Bumi, I don't know, where are you here? Is that you? I'm not sure. It could be you here at the ICDP.
Yeah, I think it was me.
I think that's you. The next course will be in spring 2024. There will be a call to apply released in September. You don't need to write that down, because we all have your email addresses, and I'm sorry to let you know, you will now receive at least one ICDP newsletter. If you receive it, you can say, I don't want to have it anymore, please take me out of the list, and we delete you from the list. But all these informations about upcoming workshops, about upcoming training courses, they come with the ICDP newsletter. So you will receive a newsletter in September to say, we are planning an ICDP workshop, training course at a specific time, at a specific location. And please, thinking about, first of all, apply by yourself, or second, submit it, move it forward to somebody else who could be interested in it. We're also doing specific training courses on specific topics like data management or downhole logging or fluid sampling. These are more on-demand courses. So if there is a project to say, look, we are extremely interested in downhole logging and this plays a big role in our project, but we don't have the experience, can we make a training course? Then we will, then we will do that. So this is something on demand. The annual training courses, they're coming regularly, except for this year. ICDP workshops. This is another way to get involved in ICDP, because the PIs of projects are encouraged to invite early career scientists. And I made a screenshot here, from the ICDP website. You see it here. And you see, if you start opening the website, the first thing you see is such a big map with a lot of dots here. And these dots here, they're showing the workshops which are upcoming. You can click on them, and then you get a link with the workshop call, and then you see, okay, this is the date of the workshop, these are the persons who are organizing it, and here I can apply. So then you can apply and say, look, that's my scientific background, I would like to be involved in that one. Are there any chances to invite me? And these are 2 examples from 2 workshop calls which are right now currently in the pipeline. So there's one in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. That's the Afa Dalol workshop. And the other one is in New Zealand, the FACET workshop. And if you're going to the text, early career scientists are encouraged to apply. We encourage applicants from all career stages, blah, blah, blah. So there is a good chance to get selected if you apply for such a workshop. Of course, again, it's all science driven. If you are from your scientific background, you need to fit into this project, of course. And here's a funny example. Last year, we had 4 workshops, and 3 of them were, let's say, for 3 of them, one person applied for all 3 workshops, and she was invited to all 3 workshops because she fit perfectly into these workshops. And that was Marta. She will also speak on the ICDP conference about her experience. She wrote a blog, and the blog is at the EGU website. You see it here. International continental scientific programs, how they work and why they provide fascinating experiences and perspectives, especially for early career scientists. We made her summer, so to say. She was 2 times in Africa and 1 time in Guatemala on ICDP money. She applied for such workshops and she was selected. So it's one way to get involved in ICDPs over the workshops. And once, if you're in the workshop, you're also part of the proposal team. So you have a foot on the door in that moment because you're part of the science team. You can, during the workshop, help to shape the project, and later, once it comes to a full proposal, people know you already, so you have a better chance to get involved, maybe even as a principal investigator or co-principal investigator. So workshops are a very important tool to get into projects. And this is the highest level of, let's say, scientific, involvement in ICDP. That's as principal investigator. These are the guys who write the proposals and oversight the project at the end. And science team members. These are the people doing the science at the end. So they are the scientific backbone of any ICDP projects. They have preferred access to samples and data, and in these PI teams, also early career scientists should be involved, maybe as co-PI, but they should be involved. We don't want to have this kind of old white man writing these proposals. We also want to have the next generation being involved in it. Okay, annual training courses I spoke about, also on the on-demand training courses. 2 slides, two more slides, one about scientific collaboration and publication scientific drilling. I don't know why that comes again. Here, the scientific collaboration. That's also something, or some people were involved into ICDP. We do generally not provide science by ourselves. We help people doing science. There are some exceptions, and one exception is, for instance, this gas monitoring thing that I was mentioning before, where I came from. I would like to do that on each ICDP drill site where it makes sense, but unfortunately, I cannot stay 3 months for drilling in the field anymore. I have other tasks to do. So in order to still doing gas monitoring while drilling, we offer a kind of a scientific collaboration. That means I would go into the field with the equipment, set it up, then giving some training, stay 1 week, and that's what I did now in Trans-Amazon, staying 1 week at the site, set up the instruments, give training to people, and in the best case, you see the result at the right side will be a paper. That's what we want, of course, at the end. We want that people submit and publish the science, of course, at the end. And you see, my name is not the first one. I don't need any public. I like to have publications, but there are young people who needs to be first authors, not me anymore. So they do the research at the site. They, let's say, run the experiment. Of course, whenever there is need for help, I help them either virtually, or in the worst case, I'm even traveling to the place and doing some, I don't know, if I need to fix something or so, I am going to go there. But in principle, the experiments are performed by people on the site, and that's often early career scientists. And okay, I think there are only 3 slides left, so we're almost at the end. We have an own journal, Scientific Drilling, and give me a second. That's it. So, and Scientific Drilling is published by Copernicus Publications on behalf of ICDP, and it's open access. It's an open access journal, and we publish peer review science reports, progress reports, article on new techniques, and workshop reports and news and views items. No costs for any costs for authors. If you submit a paper to ICDP, you don't have to pay anything. It's all paid by us. It's free access. It's open access. And since 2 weeks now, we have also an impact factor. So we are in the Web of Science. And impact factor is not very high right now, but of course we work on increase the impact factor. But I think these are a lot of, let's say, good reasons to submit something to ICDP scientific drilling. Generally, we publish 2 times a year a volume. A volume ever has, let's say, something like 5, 6, 7 paper or so. And so every year we have something like 12 to 13 papers or something like that that we publish. A lot of the information I was speaking about and a lot of information that you will hear about at the conference is summarized here in what we call the primer. It's a brochure, best practice brochure. The issue here is the primer is about 200 pages thick. If I give it you in your hand, you're going to be shocked, I guess. And I said, okay, 200 pages, thank you very much. So that's the reason why we're also doing kind of workshops or seminars like this one here to give you at least a flavor about how ICDP works and how we supporting drilling projects. And you see the team here on the left side, on the right side. You see the people here working for ICDP. This is the core team, the operational support group. And you will meet them all during the scientific conference in July. They're all going to be here. And I think I've only one slide, or hold on, 2 slides for the conference. And the conference will be in July 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 3 days. We're starting Friday noon. We have also evening program, which was not mentioned on the agenda, but evening program means on the first day we have an icebreaker, we have a band playing, we have something to drink, something to eat, we're going to have fun. And the same on the second day. So very important for this conference. It's not just that we're sitting together and discuss during the conference itself in our, let's say, in our meeting room and speak about different things. Networking, discussing in the evening together is also very important. And of course, we're going to have a platform for that. So again, we have a band playing and you're going to grab a beer and start to talk to people. And I'm quite sure we're going to have a lot of fun. And we have one session that's on Sunday. That's about participation and involvement. And you see, well, there are 2 names here. Well, Juliana and there's also Pumi. You both will speak a little bit about your experience. Pumi, about your experience from the base project, how to engage your local community. And Pages, here we are now also in very close contact with Pages. Juliana, you heard about what came out with the panel meetings here from ICDP, that the panels are very happy to get in closer contact with Pages. And so we're going to hear a little bit more about that during the conference.
Yeah, I heard it. I am part of the Pages steering committee as well, and during the meeting we discussed it about this. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so
much. We're really happy.
Yes, I have also here on my agenda work to do in order to how to really let's say implement now this kind of cooperation thing. So I think we have to provide some information for the website and things like that. I have that here on my agenda. I now have to do that, and I want to do it before the conference because it would be nice to have already something on the Pages side during the conference. I know that, so I know that I have work to do on this.
Yeah, if you need any help, just let me know. I can try to help.
Perfect. Okay, so you see we have different aspects here about, for instance, ECORD, early career support. ECORD is the European arm of IODP, our friends from ocean drilling. Okay, here you go, ECORD. Then Marta will speak. Marta was the one, that's the second talk, was the one who joined these 3 workshops last year, and she will speak about her experience. Then you will speak, Juliana. Then Pumi will speak. Then we have INQUA outreach. The INQUA will take place in Rome the week before our conference. They also have an outreach program, and there will also be an outreach session. It's on Sunday. How people can get involved, early careers can get involved in ICDP. So we'll give the same presentation like I'm giving here. I'm going to give again on Sunday in 2 weeks or so. And Frontiers for Young Minds. We have a special issue right now in the pipeline. Why scientists drill the ground beneath our feet? And that addresses in particular young people, teenagers, in the age, let's say, from 10 to maybe 14 or so. And that will be published hopefully in September. but Blas will give us an update about the status. And Blas is one of the editors. I'm also one of the editors. There will be about 12, 13 publications will be published in the special issue. And it's written for pupils. It's reviewed by pupils. And it counts as a real publication. So it gets a DOI. It gets, at the end, as it is reviewed, you can really cite it in your citation list. And so we're working on this one here. And that's about the conference and the plan for the conference. We from ICDP, you saw the different ways to get involved for early careers. We do not have a specific early career program in ICDP. And that's something I would like to discuss with you. Because I think we need to have something like that, but I cannot provide that information, say, I think we need that. If it comes from you and you have ideas, say, look, ICDP could go in this direction, or we should do more of that one. That's something that comes from the community, and that's important. So keep that in mind. You will see it during the conference, that also during this participation and involvement, because I will give a presentation here together with Blas at the beginning of about 10 to 15 minutes, how ICDP does outreach, before we're having this lightning talks here. But you will see there is not a specific or designated outreach program or a program for early careers. And that's something I would like to discuss during the conference. But it must come from you, not from me. And that's it from my side.
Thomas.
Yes.
I have a question. I saw in your first few slides where you listed the member countries, you had UNESCO there as well.
Yes, that's correct.
So I wanted to know, does that mean they also contribute a percentage of the budget, or
No.
is it easier?
No.
Is it easier to get acceptance if you're proposing to drill in a UNESCO site, or what's their significance?
The significance is that if you're coming from a third party or from a developing country, let's say like that. So if you're coming from a developing country, your membership is covered by UNESCO. So if you would write a proposal to ICDP, I mentioned before, well, you don't need to be from an ICDP member country to drill in a country. But if you're coming from an ICDP, not ICDP member country, but from a developing country, then your membership is covered by UNESCO. When you apply for the training course and you're coming from a developing country, I can always tell the panels, the ICDP panels, look, I invited this person because he or she is involved in this project and needs to gain that experience, and she's or he is from a UNESCO country. Covered. Nobody can say something against it.
Okay.
The issue is a little bit with countries who are not supposed to, or declared as, let's say, developing countries. And Brazil, for instance, is not a developing country anymore. Or well, not anymore, but they're not a developing country. And India is ICDP member, China is ICDP member, South Africa is ICDP member, Brazil and Argentina, for instance, are not. We hope to get them as an ICDP member, but that's not the case yet.
Okay.
UNESCO, they do not pay for the ICDP membership. They are associated member. They do not pay any fee. No, that would be silly to ask UNESCO to give us money. They need the money also for something else.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me, Thomas. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing? I'm from Morocco. I have a question regarding this, how to apply to ICDP to be a member. Who in the country applies? Is it the government or like in...
Well, it's actually at the end, the institute or the organization who is providing also the ICDP membership fee.
Okay.
So these are often research organizations or research councils within the member countries. So in America is the NSF. The NSF is the, let's say, the member organization of ICDP. She represents USA in ICDP. In Germany, it's the German Research Foundation. So research programs are often those who are, let's say, members. or represent the members in the ICDP.
Okay.
We had cases that we approached by, let's say, scientists or universities. It sometimes works, but you need to consider that you have to pay something, a membership fee, and universities are not really necessarily doing that one. They don't want to do that. So you need to have, let's say, some institutional, some institutes or some organizations who are willing to do that. And this is generally, as I said, science foundation, science programs like the NSF, the German Research Foundation in Germany, the Swiss Research Foundation, NERC in the UK, and so on and so forth.
So is there any procedure to follow to get in?
No, well, the procedure, let me just close the window because there's quite some rain coming down here. Welcome to the German summer.
It just started raining here as well.
Yeah, you're in Czech Republic. That's not so far away, huh?
It's sunny in Belgium.
Sorry, say again?
It's sunny in Belgium.
It's sunny in Belgium.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks to let us know. Okay. No, but it works mostly in a way that scientists from a potential member country, they get in touch with us and we tell them, you probably better go first in touch with your funding organizations to see if they are willing to become ICDP member country. So, and once there is a kind of an indication from their side, yes, we would be happy to become ICDP member country, then we would start negotiations about the membership fees and these things. And often we had the cases that scientists are directly addressing us and we tell that's a great idea, we are happy, but you need to have that kind of support by an organization or affiliation that provides the ICDP membership fee.
Yeah.
Thomas? Oh, sorry.
Yes, Pumi first, ladies first. Sorry, Lawrence.
No, I just wanted to ask if it's on the ICDP website who the national representatives of the ICDP are.
Yes.
Okay.
I would look into the execute. Well, but hold on. I can go also on the ICDP website. Are there any more questions about the presentation here? Because then I can show the ICDP website and I can also show you the workshops and things like that if you want to know where it is. If there are no questions about the presentation here, I will stop that. And let me see the website. There we are. You see the website?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Pumi's question was about the national representatives. In that case, I would go to About. And here you find motivation, funding, entities, members, and team and location. In that case, I would go to entities. And then you see the 6 elements of ICDP. These ones doing the reviewing of the proposals and discuss about the strategy. And these ones are the ones who do the work at the end. They're also working, so that was a bad joke. So, but if you're going on EC, the executive committee, this would be the right one to let's say, look for the people. And you click on it, you have the names here. And,
okay.
and you can click on them. I think there should be an email address popping up. Oh, this one is already that one. That's not good. But let's see. At least you see the names. And I don't know. Thomas Fischer, I was just recently in contact with. So you see him here. Then you're going on his website. So Thomas Fischer, Czech Republic. So if you want to know more about that one, you can get in touch with him. He's maybe also, let's say, forwarding you to somebody else or give you some other addresses. But he's the first, or these people are the first, let's say, persons you should contact.
Okay.
So here in the entities. And there's also, for instance, somebody from the UNESCO should be here. Where she is. Here, Aslam. She's representing the UNESCO, for instance. So each ICDP member country has a representative here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. There was another question.
I have a couple of quick questions, which are sort of related to the presentation. So you mentioned that the minimum you can apply for is $200,000, and the maximum so far funded is $1.5 million.
Yes, that's right.
Is that the minimum and maximum that you can quote in the proposal, i.e., because ICDP isn't providing 100% of the funds, so
Right,
is the
right.
minimum you can ask for 200,000, but ICDP would only give you
You can
100,000,
you can ask even for less. No project did so far, but you can ask for less. So so that's one point. You can ask for less. And in case we had, in fact, we had the case with one project who had already, they want to do some monitoring in boreholes. And the most expensive part were these monitoring tools. And they had the tools already, they just need the boreholes. And these were very shallow boreholes. And here we came into the area where this $200,000 thing was, let's say, was a point. But if you want to know, well, ICDP, if you just want to have, let's say, the okay from ICDP without asking any money from us, that's even better for us. So this $200,000 thing is not cast in stone. So you do not need to, let's say I need to definitely request $200,000 or more. So if you need less or nothing, fine for us. No project did that so far. But if you want to be the first one, we are happy to read your proposal. The other point, and that's probably more relevant, is the upper limit. That's also not put in stone. But in the community, they all understood and they know that we're not doing it. We are not providing more money than 1.5 million. And you can request for more than that in your proposal. But chances are high that we will say, no chance, we cannot give that. I don't know if that would lower your, let's say, the chances to get funded in general. So if you would submit one of the same proposal, one with 1.5 million, the other one with, I don't know, 3 million or so, it could be that both proposals would be accepted, but the one with 3 million, they would have write down, yes, we accept it, but only with 1.5 million. So you can try to go higher, but it's still a risky thing. So I wouldn't do that. And but it's up to you. It's up to the science community. And I think this 1.5 million, which is not cast in stone, so it's not written somewhere, but if you see our annual budget and you can see ICDP 27 years old, about, let's say, more than 80, almost 90 projects, means 3 projects a year, 3 drilling projects a year in average. 3.5 million, 3 projects per year means actually you can easily calculate something like not more than 1.5 million. I can imagine that things like that will be discussed. If we should be able to put more money to single projects, to say, okay, we're not going for 3 projects a year, but maybe we're funding 1 project in total, or we should fund even more projects with less money. I can imagine that things like that will be discussed during the conference.
I get that. I mean, yeah, I guess my question was whether the since ICDP only gives on average 20% of the budget, the proposals had actually asked for 1.5 million, and then ICDP had given them 300,000.
No. It's more. These 20% are the 1.5. So
okay,
so we have projects. If you drill a borehole of about, I don't know, 10 kilometers is a strange number, but let's say 5 kilometers or so. For a 5 kilometer deep borehole, which is not fully cored, just the borehole itself, we speak about something, 5 kilometer, I would say something like 12, 13, 14, maybe 15, $16 million. So that's really some money.
Okay.
And and if ICDP spends 1.5 million for that one, so something in the range would be 10% or so, then you still have to raise the additional funds from other sources, of course. But that's, we speak about, in that case, 1.5 million that ICDP will provide in that case.
Okay, yeah, okay. My other very quick question, possibly a stupid one. Does ICDP extend just drill on land, or does it extend onto the continental shelf, i.e. like into the North Sea, for example, or is North Sea IODP territory?
Okay, at the conference, there will be a session about land-to-sea drilling. I don't know if you ever heard about that. There is, in our toolbox, there is a new tool, a relatively new tool, to address exactly this question. So L2S, land-to-sea drilling, these are projects who either need drilling on land plus drilling at the ocean, or drilling at shallow, at shelves, continental shelves and things like that. Where both IODP and ICDP in theory could be interested. So there is a specific program designed for that. And I think maybe we will wait with this discussion. I can send you some links, but I think best would be to listen what they're going to tell us during the conference. But what you mentioned is exactly what would fit into this land-to-sea proposal. Okay. So we have that on the radar. We were in touch with our friends from Ocean Drilling. We have very close contact with them, by the way. And we have this new tool, this land-to-sea proposals. Let me see, because he has written proposals and maybe there's already something with it. Types. What happens? Here. Joint ICDP land-to-sea approach. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, and here learn more. And here's even more information about that one here. So there is a learn more. And then there is some information about that, but I think the most important information is then here about this proposal things. So, and there are proposal guidelines and guidelines about this land-to-sea drilling itself. So you can download the PDFs here and see some more information about that.
Okay, thank you.
And this land-to-sea idea that was born at the end by some projects where indeed the PIs came to us and to IODP and said, look, we want to have some money. And then it was in few cases, there were a few cases where one program said yes, the other one says no. And that was for the PIs a little bit frustrating. So we decided, okay, if people have that idea, they should come to both programs, and both programs sit together and evaluate the proposal, and we're coming with a joint evaluation result. And the one example that drives this kind of land-to-sea drilling approach was the project you see on the photo. Does somebody know where that is?
The Falklands.
What? Falklands? No.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
No. Where? Look. Does somebody know the location here? Does somebody know where this drilling was taking place? That's in the Gulf of Mexico. That was Chicxulub.
Oh, right.
And you see here the poster here with IODP and ICDP. So there was a joint effort here. And it was not an official land-to-sea drilling proposal because at that time, this kind of tool did not exist. But it was one of the projects who drove the idea to, let's say, have such a land-to-sea approach. So that was the kind of the trigger for land-to-sea, or one of the triggers. There were some others. Drilling here in the continental shelf area. So that was in the continental shelf area, actually. And funded by ICDP and IODP. Okay, does that answer your question, Lawrence?
Yes, thank you.
Great. More questions?
I have a question, but maybe I can also find it in the website. But I'm just curious, like how many proposal now or like project are being stuck in the pre-proposal. So it's like there will be upcoming workshop or something like that. Maybe it's also provided in the website? I don't know.
The pre-proposals are not shown. I think they're not showing at the website. Only workshop proposals and full proposals are shown on the website, and only those who have been accepted, of course. So if the workshop proposal or the full proposal was not accepted, you will not see it here. What you see on the website, and now we're going back to the starting site, is this map here, and I mentioned that already before. And here you can see the different, let's say, workshops which are in the pipeline. And as soon as a workshop is planned, we put this dot here, and then you can see, okay, here's a dot, you can click on it, and then you can click again, and you see here workshop, and here is the workshop announcement. That's a PDF. And if you open the announcement, you will see some information about the project itself and how to apply. So the workshop is in August, September, and the deadline to apply was May 19. If you're coming late, if you're interested in a project like this one here, and you are late, it's not forbidden to still get in touch with the principal investigators, with the organizers of the workshop, to see, look, I'm late, I know that, any chance for me to get in? Always ask. You can try. They cannot say more than, sorry, we are full, and I'm sorry for that. That's all I can say. But maybe there's a chance for you to get involved. And but there are other workshops here on the pipeline, and I guess the Eiffel workshop, for instance, there are, for instance, still, because the call came out just very recently, there should be still some possibilities to get involved. Sorry. The Eiffel workshop is this one here. And if you open the website, you see a description about the project, then here on the workshops. And then you see somewhere also the workshop call, I hope. Sorry, I have some problems with my website here. So here should be somewhere the workshop call. Yeah. Here, and there's the workshop announcement. And so, for instance, here the deadline is August 31st. So if you are interested and also could contribute scientifically to the project, then you should definitely think about considering about applying for the workshop.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about the conference and any other things? If that's not the case, you can always ask me by email or call me. And well, I'm really looking forward to see you in about 2.5 weeks. We're going to have a good time. Don't worry. We're going to have fun. And we'll be about 120, 130 people. I guess you all have already your hotel. And there will be a last email coming, I guess tomorrow or maybe by the end of the week, with some final information about some logistical aspects and a final agenda. And then we're looking forward to have you here with us.
I'm also looking forward.
Great. Okay, then thank you very much and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.